time now to take a look at what's grabbing headlines here in France. And I'm joined in the studio by Alison Sargent. Good morning, Alison.
Good morning,
Now, we're
Michelle.
starting with the sports paper, which is paying homage to the German football team, Borussia Dortmund, after their bus was targeted by a triple blast.
That's true. That team was on the way to a Champions League game against Monaco. That game now has to be postponed until today. And the sports paper L'Équipe is focusing on the solidarity it sparked between the two teams. You can see on their front page there, tous ensemble, all together. The paper says the explosions left both teams in a state of shock, especially Dortmund, as you could imagine. But the cancellation of the match also brought the fans of the two teams together. Many Monaco fans went home right away, but L'Équipe reports that some Dortmund supporters spontaneously offered to let Monaco fans spend the night at their home so they could attend the game today. One told the L'Équipe, "It's perfect timing. I had just bought red wine and camembert cheese."
Well, papers are also focusing on the future of the Grande-Synthe migrant camp, which was destroyed in a fire on Monday night.
That's true. This camp housed over 1,500 people, many of whom are now without shelter. A representative from MSF called the situation a disaster, but the French Interior Minister has said that the camp is not going to be rebuilt. You can see the headline in Le Figaro, "The Grande-Synthe camp will not be reborn." And Le Figaro reminds us that this camp was really short-lived, actually. It opened just over a year ago and at the time was seen as a model of better living conditions, especially compared to Calais. But after Calais was torn down, Grande-Synthe became overpopulated and unmanageable. And according to L'Opinion, in the wake of this fire, the government is going to prioritize sending people to the welcome centers that are spread across France. But aid groups worry that that will cause more unregulated makeshift camps to spring up in the area because the ultimate goal of many people is actually to reach the United Kingdom, so they want to stay up north.
OK, well, moving on to another front page story. Here in France, the Catholic paper La Croix is focusing on overpopulation, overcrowding in prisons.
Now, this comes after guards from one prison here in France, Fleury-Mérogis, which is south of Paris, blockaded the center yesterday in protest of overpopulation. Now, Fleury-Mérogis is actually Europe's largest prison. It houses some 4,500 people, and it is 180% of its capacity. So overpopulation is an ongoing problem in French prisons, and La Croix calls it un mal français, a French evil. You can see that there on their front page. The paper says that France is still struggling to find an alternative to prisons, as some of its European neighbors have succeeded in doing. The paper mentions in particular Spain, which has reduced prison sentences, and Finland, which often sentences people to community service instead of putting them behind bars.
Right, Alison, it wouldn't be a French press review without some politics news. What's the latest from the campaign trail?
That's right, Rochelle. The countdown continues. We're at 11 days away now from that first round of polling. And Emmanuel Macron is on the front page of Aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien today. You can see him there along with that citation, "Moi, je suis un guerrier." I am a warrior, he says. He responded to criticism in the paper and also questions from readers. And he really seemed to convince Le Parisien, Aujourd'hui en France. They said that many French people share his quest for total balance on all subjects. Meanwhile, France's communist paper Humanité is featuring far-left Jean-Luc Mélenchon on its front page. They're thrilled by his rise in the polls. He's currently in third place. And Humanité is calling him the dynamic that could change everything. Mélenchon is also on the front page of right-wing paper Le Figaro, who, as you can imagine, has less glowing words for him. They say his program is, quote, crazy, and that it would raise public spending by 270 billion euros, which is quite a lot. For Le Figaro, that's earned him the nickname the French Chavez.
Wow. OK, well, finally, Alison, Le Canard Enchaîné has unveiled new revelations on François Fillon, the embattled Conservative candidate.
That's right. It turns out his wife Penelope's jobs, alleged jobs, go back even longer than we first thought. And in its new issue today, Le Canard Enchaîné confirms she had a job working for her husband as early as 1980 and not 1986, as he had previously stated. They say she had a ministry job, although the paper doesn't specify which ministry she worked in, and that she was paid 6,000 francs a month, which is a pretty decent salary at that time. François Fillon's team, of course, denies these new allegations, but they do show that Penelope Gate continues, which is illustrated quite nicely in a cartoon by Willem in Libération today. We can see François Fillon there dragging his wife Penelope behind him in a pot as she asks him, "Are we there yet?" Now, you might wonder why she's sitting in a pot. There's actually a saying in France that is to have a casserole. Casserole literally means pot, but it also, in the French saying, saying means that you're haunted by a scandal. And this saying comes from the idea that scandal is something you drag along behind you, kind of like a pot that rattles around and makes all kind of noise.
And indeed, this scandal doesn't seem to be going away for François Fillon. Alison, thanks very much for that.